And to my fellow citizens, America is back. Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, and I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back. Official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. Also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports. Our country will be woke no longer. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the necessities of life out of reach for millions and millions of Americans. They've never had anything like it. We suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now. To combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but we'll be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. $8 million for making mice transgender.
No.
And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated. The Government Accountability Office, a federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation.
Wow.
And we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. Social Security, and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old.
That's like from before
we have
it
a
began.
healthier country than I thought, Bobby. And one person is listed at 360 years of age.
Is he a vampire?
More than 100 years older than our country.
Let's go.
We're going to find out where that money's going. And it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families. What I have just described is only a small fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Common sense has become a common theme, and we will never go back. Never. Never going to let that happen. I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense, with no security, with no anything.
The Democrats finally clapping?
It feels like it's quiet. Like four of them.
They won't stop.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Hey!
Shots fired.
Awesome. Look at his face.
2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans, but I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending.
That's ridiculous.
And we've spent
But we're the
perhaps
bad guys.
$350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is.
Wow.
And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with them, and lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe has spent by billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. But that didn't happen. Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Trump is being awfully magnanimous about this too now. So far, he might throw a jab in there.
He might.
You never can tell,
I'm waiting for it.
right?
Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides. Americans have always been the people who defied all odds, transcended all dangers, made the most extraordinary sacrifices, and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love, and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free, and we will fight for it till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved country, because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors.